Namaste. Hello,
Namaste.
everyone. Welcome to another edition of Navimerse podcast. So we are back with our podcast after 2 weeks of hiatus. We were busy with a lot of things, so we could not continue the podcast, but we are back again. So today we are back with a new book being released, and we have the author, Mr. Anindya Nandi, with us to discuss the book.
Namaste.
So before we start, let me show you the book itself, the book which we're going to discuss, and we have the author with us who is going to give us insights into his books. It's a very interesting book. It's on political science, specifically on coalition politics. So this is the book that we are talking about today, The Fractured Throne, India's Coalition Era and the Remaking of a Nation. So this book is published by Astitva Publication. It is available in their own website. The link will be available there here itself, and you can also find and get it this book from also from Amazon. So it's a non-fiction book written by Mr. Anindya Nandi, who is an ex-Navy officer, and he is quite active in politics in nowadays. So without any wasting any time, we'll go back to our author. And Namaste, Anjada.
Namaste
Yeah.
to you and to all viewers. Namaste.
And we apologize to the audience as well for being late. We had a power cut here due to adverse weather conditions. So we had to delay our broadcast for 10 minutes. So we apologize for this, but we could not help it due to weather conditions. So with that, we'll start with the broadcast. So Anjada, the book,
Yes.
The Fractured Throne, okay,
Yeah.
which discusses about coalition era politics. So
Yes.
why that article? Why this name called Fractured Throne? If you could shed light and insight into your naming in the book itself.
So you mean to say why this
Name.
negative kind of approach? Okay.
No, not about negative. So, correct, the name itself, the Fractured Throne. Correct. So normally,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
During that, see, this book actually talks about an era which is,
Hmm.
generally we dismiss that particular era of 1989 to 2014, saying that it's an era of instability. It's an era of short-lived coalitions, policy compromises, government changes, like I mentioned in my book, revolving doors. Means you can see in that particular era, there was a time when within a span of 2 weeks, we saw three prime ministers. So this was an era of instability, uncertainty, and the throne of India, that is the throne of the chair of the prime minister, was actually compromised with many things. Means one particular political party was compelled to align with or make an alliance with a political party from the other side of the ideology. Means just imagine BJP is aligning with Samta party. Means like that. So it is a compromised policy making. It is a compromised decision making era of Indian politics, and that is why. And the prime ministership kept changing in that particular phase. That is why that I mentioned it to represent that particular era and to represent the instability we faced in my title, Fractured Throne. But one thing you must notice that in that particular title, it is Fractured Throne, but the subtitle is India's Coalition Era and Remaking of a Nation. So in that particular title and subtitle, you will find both the actual narrative of the book. You'll actually you'll be able to understand from that title and subtitle also.
Yeah.
If you read these two things together, then you will be able to draw a picture of what the book is all about. It is about stable time which directed the nation to a positive future.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you describe, as you mentioned, correct. This is a kind of a negative portrayal of coalition era politics, but
Yes.
from your understanding, it also gave some positive things as well. Okay, so it's not
Mm.
about in general in life, it is not black and white in general. Correct? So everything that we do, it has some negative and positive connotations. So
Mm.
whichever one we look at it from our perspective, what we take in and take out, it depends on people to people how they perceive it. Okay, so we'll get back to your book itself because today we're going to discuss your
Mm.
book primarily and the book's contents. Okay, and what it
Mm.
discusses. So
Mm.
as you
Tell
mentioned,
me.
correct, that yeah. So as you mentioned that it is considered as a kind of a unstable government from
Mm.
1980s onwards when you had the coalition government being then, and after I think Rajiv Gandhi, nobody had the majority in general. Okay,
Yes, yes. After
so
Rajiv Gandhi's assassination,
mhm,
up to Modi ji swearing in, there was
14,
coalition politics.
yeah,
2014, yes.
yeah, 2014 was the last like coalition era government since 80s, and then Modi ji came and he came with a majority, full majority.
Mm. Mm.
So now tell me, you are saying that okay, it is a coalition era politics, okay, and so democracy has been strengthened. So the book, your book tries to put give a bit more data and context that although they were coalition governments, okay, and they had a lot of issues as well, okay,
Mhm.
but they did not harm the democratic principles and the democratic path with the country is walking towards. So why
Mm.
so, from your perspective?
Why so means why I am saying that it has strengthened our democracy.
Yeah. So part of your book's presentation, which I have read, is that although they were democratic, like they were coalition governments, but the
Mhm.
democratic principles, democratic path, it is walking towards since 1950s. That the coalition governments actually did not hamper the democratic credentials of the India, although they were in coalition government. So, is that something that you want to
Yes.
argue about?
See, in this particular period, we have seen massive changes. Massive changes means since 1951 to 1989, for say, we India was politics was going on at a fixed path, and everything was predetermined, and we knew which party will do what, and whatever we have got, we have got. Whatever we didn't get, there was a little chance of getting all these things. I'll name all those projects and issues. So this was a set narrative. There was a set narrative since 1951 to 1989. After 1989, when coalition politics took the throne, they felt a compulsion to stay in power, stay in politics. They had to agree on many things which the Indian voters were actually demanding about. And
Hmm.
other than that, I'll name all those projects in our discussions later on.
Hmm.
You can think of dismantling the license raj. It is a very very big jolt in Indian economy since very long time. But that dismantling of license raj was done in this period only. If you talk about globalization and trade reforms, this was done in this period only. If you talk about capital market reforms, stock market, stock exchange, and national stock exchange, this thing, a boom. There was a boom in national stock exchange in that particular period only.
Hmm.
Privatization and fiscal discipline, maintaining fiscal discipline was actually catered for in this period only. And if you talk about foreign exchange reserve goals, new economic policy, new education policy, foreign policy initiatives, which actually changed India's foreign policy forever. After that particular period, we are going on that changed path only. Diplomatic relations with Israel, if you're saying so, all these things happened in this period only. National security, anti terrorism bill, anti terrorism legislation came in this period only. If you see, most of the things which actually were required
Hmm.
to run a democracy smoothly, with efficiency, and while respecting voters' demands, citizen demands, all the
Hmm.
small and big issues were actually considered in this period on. Before that, we were going on a set path, and nothing, no changes were made. Basically, there was a very little change in from change means I'm talking about all these mm, mm, achievement oriented changes. All these changes which actually set a course of a nation for a to be called a developed nation. All these changes were made in this particular period only. That is why I'm saying that democracy was upheld in this particular period. Before that, it was one party rule, single majority rule, mostly, and in between there was a Morarji Desai government, but that was negligible part of it. So and that came after, soon after the emergency. So they were busy in dismantling the changes Indira Gandhi made to the constitution in that particular period, and then they were the government was down in 1979. After that, again it was single party majority government. So they did whatever they wanted to, without giving importance to positive changes which India should make. I'm not blaming all the prime ministers between 1951 to 1989, but there were certain changes which actually should have been made earlier. Those changes were made in this particular period. There was a political compulsion behind this. There was economical compulsion behind this. There were many reasons, but they were taken in this particular period on.
Understood. So
Even
let
if you are
me.
talking about, even if you are talking about the major event of India's nuclear test, the second nuclear test, which Atal Bihari Vajpayee did in May 1998, that was in this particular period only. So there was a huge change in India's lookout towards what India should be mm,
Hmm. Understood.
targeting at. That is it.
Understood. So now let me play a bit of a devil's advocate here. Okay.
Mhm.
So it should not people think, okay, like I am always agreeing with you. So I generally try to give another perspective to the topic that the guests talk about, so that the audience gets a both perspective at the same time. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. I need to share this. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Not now, not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay. I think now it should be visible.
Yes,
So
it's visible.
yeah, it should be visible now to everybody on this to the audience as well. So generally, when I was doing the research on this
Mm-hmm.
coalition era politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2004 to 2014 is called as
Mm-hmm.
a analysis paralysis decade in general. So, like if
Mm-hmm.
you go to the newspaper archives at that time, you will see
Mm-hmm.
people are talking about analysis paralysis, where government is not able to do anything. It's like government
Mm-hmm.
unable to move beyond because of coalition era politics compulsions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specifically all the scams, other things which were there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so and this analysis is actually across the board. So this is a so-called right-wing newspaper. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have like News 18. Okay, which is
Mm.
now centrist or bit left-leaning newspapers. Like
Don't tell me, please. Okay.
anyway, so
Don't tell me.
they are considered as. So I am just giving
Uh,
the opinion. Okay, that people
uh.
consider Swaraj as a right-leaning outlet.
And News 18 is not. You're trying to say.
Anyway, see, I'm giving just people's perspective. People can disagree. So you have also Hindu. The
Okay.
Hindu
Uh,
also is a kind of a left-leaning newspaper, as considered in general. Okay, people kind of different views. I'm just giving opinion which people I know when I did my research. So they
mhm,
had talked about this analysis paralysis decade. Okay,
mhm.
which was strife with corruptions. It was strife with people not able to take decisions on them. So we had a lot of scams which are going on, and that was primarily it was blamed on coalition era compulsions.
Mhm.
I'm talking about documented things which is written something.
Yes.
Okay, so just to give another perspective. Okay, so
Mhm.
what do you think, why this, like why this happened, why 2004 to 2014 is called a lost decade, as told by Swaraj, that
Okay, fine.
things didn't
I'll
happen.
I'll tell you I'll tell you something. You are talking
Hmm.
about newspaper archives. My full
Hmm, hmm,
book
hmm, hmm, hmm,
from page number 1 to page number 452.
hmm, hmm,
It talks about newspaper headlines, newspaper archives only.
hmm,
Every para I have mentioned in the book is supported by a news article.
hmm,
So in that, but in these, this kind of articles,
hmm,
are hypothetical articles. You can make like I am saying that this particular era strengthened your democracy.
hmm, hmm,
Those
hmm, hmm,
articles, there are many articles which will blame this particular era for not doing anything. But
ah,
when you list them out, when you
hmm,
list them out,
hmm,
you'll find there were many things which today mm, we are not able to achieve. I can tell you many things, and if I want to tell, if I tell you things from this particular period after 2014 to till 2024, that will be my next book called The New Compass. And here you will not be able to complain about a negative title, because New Compass is a very positive title. So and
yeah,
in that particular book, I'll discuss about this period,
hmm, hmm,
and
hmm,
I'll
hmm,
discuss about things which we generally see today in many statistical reports.
hmm,
I can give you many statistical data which are available today. When you compare 1951 to 1984 or 89, and
hmm, hmm,
2014 to 2024, you will find in every subject,
hmm,
2014 to 2024 is leading in every
hmm,
subject. You will find.
hmm,
Uh, but uh, time is a very big factor here. Time, situation, the economical position India has or India had that time. All these things affect your policies, affect your governance. Everything, it is correlated. So if you compare 1951 to 1989 with 2014 to 2024, you will be actually not doing justice to the events which happened, the development which happened in those particular periods. Because you are talking about a time when everything was set. India was leading, going ahead. When I in my book I used many naval metaphor. India was
Mm-hmm.
sailing in smooth waters. And then you are doing something. And when India was just independent, came out of 200-year British rule, and it was suffering from refugee issues, poverty issues, famine, war, and there were many things in that particular period, from 1951 to 1980, whatever, 84 or 89, these periods. If you want to restrict it to more than 1971, you can take. So in this period India was not stable, and in these unstable waters, when someone is sailing smoothly and someone is actually moving ahead, that is more appreciable than in smooth waters. It says a smooth sea does not make a efficient sailor. So
Exactly.
when you are comparing these two periods in a table, you'll find 2014 to 2024 much ahead of the past eras. But I think comparison should be done in a very uh, uh, justified way, because those two situations are not equal. When you are rebuilding a nation, you are actually creating a nation. After 1947, someone created our nation, someone built everything we are talking about today.
Hmm.
So that is separate achievement, and this is
Hmm.
separate achievement. I'm not belittling any one of them,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I think those two periods should not be compared as equals, and should be equally as on a statistical level. On a percentage wise, you cannot measure them. You should not compare them. Those two are
Okay.
completely different era.
Okay. Now let me again share my screen and share glimpses uh, with the audience itself.
And okay, I
Hmm.
just want to add
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
two,
Go
three
ahead.
more lines about your
Hmm.
this lost decade article. I'll
Hmm.
read that
Hmm.
article
Hmm. Hmm.
later
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
But if even if we go by statistics,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
okay, I think if you go by statistics and if you really focus on the issues and the numbers,
Hmm.
this particular era, you will find it not lost. That particular article is a biased article. I must say it is not lost
Uh,
article.
yeah. So, see, when
Lost
I am
decade.
doing,
Sorry.
yeah, actually, when I am doing the research in general, so I would actually search articles based on the various spectrums of
Oh,
political
no,
thought.
no, you are doing justice. I'm not
Hmm.
saying anything. Why
But
you
actually, my
took
concern
it
was
up?
my concern was that the Hindu, who people consider as a left-wing newspaper, Swaraj, who consider as
Mhm.
a right-wing news portal or news media, both are
Mhm.
saying almost same thing. So that actually put my okay. They vehemently
All those
oppose each other.
scams and all those
Hmm.
scams and everything which happened in
Hmm.
this particular decade, I have mentioned all
Hmm.
those scams in my book.
Hmm.
Everything has been mentioned, but
Hmm. Hmm.
even regardless of those scams and everything, I focused on the democracy part of it, and I
Hmm.
focused
Hmm.
on the
Hmm.
development part of it, and how India
Hmm. Hmm.
moved ahead from where it was, and that is the focal point of my book.
Yeah.
Means
So now
if
actually
yes, yes.
we'll come back to your book itself. So I am sharing with the audience, okay, the chapters which are there in the book. So as mentioned by author, we have around 444 pages in the book, and these are the chapters which the book contains. So
Mm,
people who are
mm,
interested in understanding Mr. Anindya Nandi's book, what it says, and as he mentioned, he has documented newspaper articles and various other sources to actually provide relevance and reference to the context that he is writing. Okay. So we will discuss the chapters in detail in our coming podcast as well. So we'll have Mr. Nandi back with us in coming week as well to discuss chapters and his perspectives on it. Okay. So question number one to you on the book itself, because we're going to discuss primarily the book itself. Why you think you had to write this book? What compelled you to write this specific book on this specific topic in general?
See, as we have already discussed, the coalition era is often overlooked or dismissed as mere instability between Nehru-Indira dominance and Modi's majority rule. Between these particular these two periods, it is the 1989 to 2014 is generally seen as dismissed as mere instability era. Yet it fundamentally reshaped India through social justice movements. I'll talk about it.
Yeah, Mandal
Economic.
movement.
I'll talk about it in detail if you want to, and economic liberalization and federalism. Federalism comes from including every voice in your this thing. So this particular period, we saw federalism surging, and in this particular period, we even saw Mandal commissions. This thing, we saw India signing upset. We saw many ups and many downs. We saw Pokhran test. We saw a 13-day government. We saw three prime minister change within a span of 2 weeks. Yet India's movement, India's moving ahead was not stopped. That was the reason I took this matter up, because generally in today's era, we are very much into headline reading. We read headlines and we decide onto a very big subject without reading the intricacies inside this particular very big subject. There are many parts, there are many events in this particular period, why those events happened, what led them to happen, and how the politicians and governments of that period overcome those problems, how we moved ahead, how this today's mammoth BJP, how they came into power, how they rose from a two-seat India-wide from two seats party in 1984 to 121 in 1989, and then to 350 in 2014. So all these things, I think, this particular era created a base for it. Whatever India is today, this particular era created that base, and we should not dismiss this particular era as saying that this is a gone era, this is a lost decade, or this is a era of uncertainty or a era of fractured throne. That is why I actually took this matter up, because if someone is very much interested into politics and contemporary politics, then contemporary politics is based on some base, and someone who is interested in politics should learn in detail what those bases are. And that is why I think this particular period is worth reading. I would request all your viewers and anyone who is interested in learning the events, political events that happened in that particular period, without being biased, without favoring a political party, or without opposing a political party, just to know what happened and why it happened. It will automatically, in this book, there is no this thing, biasness. I have not supported Congress, I have not supported Deve Gowda, I have not supported Vajpayee ji, or I have not supported anyone in this thing. I just mentioned pure facts, what happened and why happened. I think we should know this.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. I agree with you 100% on this. So this looks very interesting. Like people who like want to know about politics in general and how politics function. So let's start with the social justice movement or the Mandal Commission chapter that you had mentioned in the book. We'll start with
Mhm.
this. So I will ask you a difficult
I,
question based on
huh.
that. But first of all, please give your perspective on the chapter on Mandal Commission and what is there people when they read the book.
See, Mandal Commission, today it's a very interesting subject. See, Mandal Commission
Uh,
was,
just just one thing. Actually, there's a power cut and this power is back. So I'll put off my camera for a few minutes and then I'll be back. Sorry, you can continue.
can I continue or?
You will continue. Actually, I need to change the power. So I will
Okay,
just put off the camera for 2 minutes and then I'll be back.
okay, okay, okay. Okay, you come back and then we'll start.
No, you can start. You can start narrating. It will
Okay,
not be an issue.
okay,
I will be
okay,
online.
okay. See, Mandal Commission is a very interesting subject. I think everybody today who is politically interested and keen to know political incidents which happened in India should know the history of it. And we should first start with the starting of Mandal Commission. When it started, when that idea came to government's mind that there should be a commission, there should be a commission, and we should start working on it. That period is 1979, and that government was Morarji Desai's government. Mandal Commission was taken up in 1979, Morarji Desai's government. And when we say Morarji Desai's government, we should know that that particular government was supported by Jan Sangh. And they started it. It was late 1979. And then the government fell. And the report came in my book, I have mentioned. The report came in 1980, early 1980. And by that time, election was there, and Indira Gandhi came to power again. Indira Gandhi, when before coming to power in 1980s, Mandal Commission report was already submitted. So it was there with Indira Gandhi, Mandal Commission recommendations. Indira Gandhi had a thumping majority, and she completed her 5 years. Could not complete her 5 years time. She was assassinated, and then came Rajiv Gandhi's period, and he also had a thumping majority. But both these leaders, they decided not to act on it. Mandal Commission report was submitted in 1980, and uh, up to Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, it was not implemented. So in 1979 it started, and up to 1989 it was not implemented. Then came VP Singh's government. VP Singh's government, if you see, it had supports from BJP. 85 MPs supported VP Singh's government, and this is a very very interesting chapter, period in this particular era, 1989 to 2014. This particular era, I think everybody should read very carefully and understand the political happenings and why it happened. VP Singh came to power, and when VP Singh was representative of the backward classes, so his politics was built up on this particular narratives only. And VP Singh, when only I think 8 months were left in VP Singh's this thing. 8 months, no. After 8 months of his becoming of prime minister, he decided one day in 1990, I think. Let me refer to my this thing. Just a minute. I'll read it out from my book only. Mandal Commission. Yes, it was 1990, and it was August 1990. So, August 1990, he decided to implement. Mandal Commission recommendations. And he used actually a naval metaphor in Lok Sabha that time. While presenting this and implementing this, he used a naval metaphor. So why he did so? Because he was actually politically bankrupt. He had no other narrative, no other. If he wanted to sustain in politics, he had to do something to lure his voters, lure to the electoral promises he made. So he decided to implement Mandal Commission. Again, BP Singh's government was supported by 85 MPs of BJP, and they were in a dilemma that time. They were in a very big dilemma because while he was doing so, why VP Singh actually implemented in August 1990? Because that time in VP Singh's government only, Kashmir was unstable and it was very much in news. And government's failure was very much evident from the news articles in every newspapers. Kashmir genocide actually started, and to divert voters' attention from Kashmir, VP Singh decided to implement the Mandal Commission, and Mandal Commission's 27% reservation for OBC he declared from Lok Sabha. So Kashmir issue was diverted. And that time BJP took actually no. I request. I think this particular chapter you also have with you,
Yeah, yeah, I
chapter
have it. I
two.
have it. I have it.
Yes, I request you to read that particular chapter in full. I'll tell you, what I have written in this.
Hmm.
So, what BJP did that time, BJP was in a dilemma because BJP is considered a party for that time, at least in 1990, BJP was considered a party for upper castes.
Yeah.
And their main voter base was upper caste people. And they were supporting a government which implemented Mandal Commission recommendations. So BJP was in a dilemma what to do. And if they that time rejected this particular implementation and withdrew support from the BP Singh's government, then OBC voters will go against BJP because it was in their favor. And if they do not do anything, then upper caste voters, which are the vote banks of BJP, they will go against BJP. So it was a very big dilemma for BJP. BJP decided, it was a political master stroke, which a particular word is very much common in today's political narratives. It was a political master stroke of BJP when they decided to shift the entire subject to some other dimension. Means if the nation was divided horizontally on castes, BJP decided to divide it vertically on religion. So they see, I'm a very you can call me a right winger. You can call me a right winger. That is then also you must acknowledge what happened and why it happened. So BJP decided to start a Rath Yatra. This was BJP's response to Kashmir issue and Mandal Commission's issue. Because in Delhi, there were people, students of upper class who were self-immolating in protest against Mandal Commission implementation. That time, BJP took a program of Rath Yatra from Somnath to Ayodhya. And that thing actually worked. People who were fighting amongst themselves, Hindus who were fighting among themselves over caste, they came together and they were fighting with others, whom I am referring to. They were fighting against them for Ram Mandir. So it actually worked. And BJP took on this path, and since that time till today, BJP is working on that path only because it was very fruitful for them. And interesting part is, I'll sum it up in this particular chapter 2. VP Singh's government was actually, it was downed by BJP only, but for a very peculiar reason. BJP's MPs withdrew support from VP Singh's government not because of Kashmiri genocide, not because of OBC implementation, OBC quota implementation, but because Lal Krishna Advani's Rath Yatra was stopped in Bihar and he was put in jail. That is why BJP withdrew support from VP Singh's government and government fell. So people should know all these things. No, I can bet there are many people in today's time who who are very much active in politics, who are taking either side, whether it is right or left, or I do not consider Congress as a right wing party, so it is right or left. So uh, they most of them actually do not know why and how. So we should know why and how. This is one very important part. Why BJP worked on the path of Hindutva, and it was all documented. It is all documented because in 1984 BJP got only 2 seats. There was a reason behind this because BJP was campaigning against Ram Mandir that time. Since 1980, BJP's inception till 1984 general elections, BJP was not at all working on the path of Hindutva. It was talking about why it was actually going against the Ram Mandir movement. And when they were reduced to only 2 seats nationwide, then they faced all these problems to respond to. They decided to work on the path of Hindutva, and it worked for them. So this is it basically. Means Mandal Commission was a desperate attempt by VP Singh to divert voters' attention, citizens' attention, public's attention from Kashmir, and BJP walking the Hindutva path was a desperate attempt from yes Kashmir and Mandal Commission. So this is it.
Yeah, Anjata, there is some noise in your from background, so I'm hearing it. I'm not sure whether the audience can hear it. There is some background noise which is coming when you are speaking, so just check that part. Okay, I'm going to ask you
Okay.
also a little bit difficult question. You
Mhm.
mentioned, correct, that the democracy, the way democracy functions as it is,
Mhm.
okay, BPC is using Mandal Commission to divert some other issues which is happening, okay.
Mhm.
Other political party, BJP is doing something to divert attention from other issues which they don't want to be highlighted. Okay. So, do you think that democratic setup that we have today is
Mhm.
something which can actually deliver value if the political parties are going to use the state power and their narrative power to divert attention from Kashmir genocide? Okay, they are going to they are going to use the narrative to divert attention from the social justice movement on Mandal Commission and have some other objective behind it. So, do you think objectively democracy is something which is going to serve the nation as a whole if we have that kind of documentation which we have done?
See, in these two cases, three issues: Kashmir,
Hmm.
Mandal, and Ram Mandir movement. If there is anything positive in it, it was Mandal Commission. It was Mandal Commission because see, you may not like it, I may not like it, someone may not like it, but the voice of the 52% population should be
Hmm.
heard. So, if someone, if a commission has recommended something, and it has recommended a staggering percentage, 27 percentage of quota, that can be debated, that could be debated that time. But giving them nothing and completely bypassing this was also not good for democracy. If you are talking about democracy, then it should voice for everyone. So it was a kind of action which which basically ensured
Hmm.
that 52% population of India get their voice heard. So it was a positive point. Now, Kashmir was a completely politically motivated this thing. Why I'm saying so? If a government wants to crumble any such activity which happened in Kashmir, government could have easily done so. And if that government is not doing, then the people supporting the government could have bring the government down that time only. But they decided not to. They decided not to because it was for the very first time, or if not first time, then after very long time, they were actually in power. So they wanted to keep that power with them. They and they decided not to act on Kashmir. So while I'm saying that that particular era has maintained what democracy should deliver, while doing saying so, I have mentioned the problems of those particular period, that particular period, and why those problems occurred, and how politics changed its narrative. So that is also very much important. So yes, you can say that while saying that democracy was upheld, I should have also put some thing in my title which actually resembled the whys and hows of Indian politics and political narratives were developed. ये भी डालना चाहिए था उसके अंदर. So it is also there in this particular book. If you read this book, you will able to understand. You'll be able to understand the um, problems and the solutions they delivered, and whether it was sufficient or not. Nothing is sufficient because Kashmir genocide cannot be, logically put anywhere or any in. If it happened, it is a flaw. So and government that time governments were not able to suppress it. It was their fault. It was their failure. It
It
is
was
also mentioned.
okay. Okay. So let me ask
Like
you.
if you say the Kashmir issue was a failure, then why you are calling that democracy was a fail?
Hmm.
Then if I ask you today Manipur is burning and nobody is stopping it, will you say that democracy is not a fail today?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what my my concern is.
It is a problem,
Hmm.
and government is unable to handle it.
Yeah.
That is a
So
problem. Government is unable. Yes.
my
Tell.
question is that if till today the Kashmir genocide is not acknowledged, justice is not given. Okay,
Mhm.
if India is a democracy which should be giving justice to people who are being violated, who are being persecuted, who are being killed, and who are being exterminated in their own
Mhm.
homeland, if the Kashmiri people today, till today, are not getting their justice done, do you think democracy as a whole, as a system, I'm not talking about any political party, I'm talking about as a democracy as a system of governance,
Mhm.
is able to say that okay, this is the kind of governance which everybody should aspire to?
No, 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 never. Never. It is not for, if it is for Kashmir, never. If it is for Manipur, never. It is not upheld. It is not upheld the way it should be held up. But but thing is, I'm talking about remaking of a nation. Why? Remaking India's coalition era and remaking of a nation. Why remaking? I have already discussed because India was in very turbulent waters that time. In 1989, when after Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, India's GDP was down, India's inflation was high, India was left with only 2 weeks of import worth. So that time, governing in India's government, they sailed it through and brought India to a to smooth waters. That is remaking. I'm talking about reshaping everything. I'm talking about creating new projects for the people who are not looked after by governments since independence. I'm talking about all these things. If you're talking about marginalized laborers, policy on marginalized laborers, nobody thought about it, but it was thought about in that particular period. If you are talking about creating a national education policy, nobody thought about it before, but it was thought about in that particular period. So, remaking of a nation does not, when I'm saying so, does not, I'm not implying that democracy in each and every corner was upheld. But while in this particular era, India was reshaped for sure. India
Yeah.
was reset
So
for sure.
got it. I think we got the perspective that the coalition era politics, which happened uh, from 80s onwards, 89 onwards till 2014, played a very pivotal role in reshaping India's politics, and also by virtue of policy decisions
Sorry.
taken on, yeah, policy decision
Sorry.
taken on the economic front. It also shaped India's economic future as well. So
Mhm.
these two are very intrinsically linked. So we now talk about geoeconomics. So
Mhm.
where politics, geography, and economics
What happened?
both, all three are go put together in the same
Mhm.
way. We cannot see them as isolated things. Your
Mhm.
geography, your
Just a
politics,
minute. Huh?
and your economy, they are interlinked each other, and you cannot see them as separate entities, but look at them as as a system which actually works. So
Mhm.
I'll come back to one more question regarding social justice. Okay.
Mhm.
In your opinion, the politics of social justice did something good for a lot of people, but did it something did or the politics of social justice did something bad things as well into the way it was implemented, the way it is still now implemented,
Yes.
and
There is a saying that that man is here to take birth who can satisfy everybody. It is in a lighter note, but
hmm,
see, whenever you are trying to bring up a community of people because they were left alone
hmm,
in the historical times. Since historical times, they were actually neglected, and
hmm,
you are now trying to give them a higher ladder to reach the goal. When you are adopting this kind of approach to compensate them, then there will be people who will not agree to this. And there are people, if you see, when Mandal Commission came, Lal Krishna Advani suggested one, way out from it to satisfy BJP's voters, that is upper caste voters. That time only, Lal Krishna Advani suggested economical reservation,
EWS,
reservation based on,
EWS.
yes, yes, yes. But upper caste people that time who were agitating against Mandal Commission, they rejected it. They said, no, we do not want reservation for reservation. Uh, we do not want that. Just don't give them any reservation. This 27% reservation, we don't agree to. They were agitated. They were not happy. But in the course of time, when politics took the other route, this particular subject was were put into dust. So people forgot, and they were busy with some other issue. It happens in politics. Every time this thing happens. Even today, every political party, every government, whether in state or center, they adopted these policies. It happens in every democracy. If you are talking about democracy and electoral politics, this thing happen. What you are showing,
Yeah,
I'm not able
yeah.
to.
Yeah, I can. I will read it to you. So here I read the 0 marks, 0 marks. maths PhD interview criteria for SC/ST applicants at Delhi University. So
Yes.
a PhD candidate from SC/ST community or a reserved community, right, can
Mhm.
apply for a PhD position, okay, for a PhD doctorate, even if the
Mhm.
person has 0% 0 marks in mathematics and he's doing a course on maths or teaching on maths. Okay, so that's why I was trying to stress a card that social justice I agree with. Okay, I am also not from
Yes,
a
yes.
very upper caste background, so
Yes, yes.
social justice, if something has gone wrong, they should be compensated, they should be given privileges because they were being frowned upon. I accept
Mhm.
that, but when politics comes into social justice, this happens that
Yes.
a teacher will be teaching mathematics to your children, to other children. That person has 0% 0 marks in mathematics himself.
Yes, yes.
How he will teach it?
I
Hmm.
agree with you 100%. There is
Hmm.
no question of denying this.
Hmm.
That see the reason why BJP did not go against Mandal Commission in 1990, same reason here also. I think this is a very contemporary news
Hmm.
article,
Hmm.
recent
Hmm. Hmm.
news article.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this thing is going on.
Hmm.
And if you want to stop this, if you want to rectify this,
Hmm.
in this electoral politics, political party always fear the voters. And when it is a number game, the number will talk. So this is it. Actually, if you are asking all these questions, then I should go on to talk about democracy in this thing, and this matter will be a controversial matter in that case, because
Yeah, yeah.
in democracy you will have all these problems. In democracy, in an electoral democracy, where a person who is dependent on on a 10 rupee this thing per day wage, for example, there are people who earn 10 rupees, 15 rupees per day. There are people beggars, they who can be bought with a loaf of bread. Those people, that particular person, if he casts vote, his vote and your vote carries the same weight. So political parties actually capitalize on these things. So their numbers are always high. In India, their numbers are always high. People who do not understand anything, any politics, any political party, anything, they just understand how I will earn my bread today. Those are the people who can be manipulated very easily by any political party, for that matter, anyone, whether it is left wing political party, whether it is pseudo left Congress party, or whether it is right wing BJP. Anyone can manipulate them, because their manipulation point is a 10 rupee note. So these things will happen in democracy, electoral democracy. You cannot, come out of these problems if you are continuing with electoral democracy.
Yeah,
So
actually,
discussing this will take you to another dimension.
mhm. Yeah,
So,
no, actually, I wanted to, I wanted, because you are talking about social justice movement, so that's what I thought, okay, let's show the both pictures, the good aspect of that it
yes,
goes, and
yes, I
also
agree
the
to
some
you.
bad aspect to it,
I
so
agree
that
to your
people get a
logic
perspective.
completely. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
I also agree to
So,
it. I also agree with it completely. See,
mhm,
while someone is saying social justice, if you
mhm,
are doing it for political cause and for political intentions, then it will have its repercussions. It will have its effects in other party which you are not attending to. So it will definitely have. And this particular thing which you have just shown,
mhm,
reservation for a PhD with 0 marks.
Hmm.
These are dangerous things. And you tell me why a genuine government should not take action against this? Why
And it
government
has
is not
been
taking action?
and it has been and see, we are seeing the report newspaper now, correct? So think about this is going on for how many decades?
Ages. It is
Ages,
going on.
1980s,
eh,
80s onwards.
no. It is going on since 1951 only. Going on since then only. Going on since the day 22.5% reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe was given.
Hmm.
Since that day only it is going on. But this time, this is the period when these are being exploited, and very nakedly. Exploited very nakedly. Means in I think in 1970 someone would not dare to give this kind of reservation with 0 marks, even if that person is from ST or SC community. Today they are able to, because everything is being voiced today, whether it is right or wrong, everything has a voice, and you will find support for everything you talk about in today's date, because communication is very fast nowadays. I'm talking here, so, from my living room, and it is going to every corner of the world. So that is why every voice is getting heard today. Whether it is right or wrong, that is a separate thing. So that is why these things are being exploited. If you go and complain about this, people will come against you, because they'll say you are against the social justice system of India. You are against the Dalit and whatever term they call them.
Yeah, so we will take about one more topic today, and we'll go towards the end of this section today. So, could you just give elaboration on the topic crisis and catharsis in 1991, which is a very I think people who are born in post 90 will not know what was happening in 80s. So, if you could
Mm.
enlighten us on the chapter and what it contains, chapter number 3, crisis and catharsis, 1991.
1991. I was mentioning that thing little before. In 1991, India was facing a huge economic crisis, because previous governments, after Rajiv Gandhi's assassination and VP Singh's short-term government, India was facing tremendous economic crisis. Uh, uh, yeah, this thing, your fiscal deficit was 9 to 10% that time of GDP.
10%. Okay, that's
Fiscal
really
deficit.
something. Hmm.
Yes, and forex reserve, there were only 2 weeks of forex reserve. Means you can import only for 15 days. You can run the country, and after that you have nothing. That was the situation in 1991. High inflation, 13 to 14% inflation was there, and there was a war going on in the Gulf, and oil prices surged. Everything was going against the against Indian economy, and our long-term friend Soviet Union collapsed that time. Everything went against India, and it was India was on the verge of breaking down economically. IMF loan, there was IMF loans to pay, repay. All these things were going on. India actually was about to be, default in paying repaying of loans,
Hmm.
because
Correct.
it had no money.
Yeah.
That time, Narasimha Rao's government and Manmohan Singh as the finance minister, they took charge, and they reformed our economic policy, and they opened our economy. It became an open economy from that day only, that time only. And India was not only with that time, India overcome that, came that particular problem. India was surging ahead after that. So 1991 crisis and its solution actually boosted India's future. It was a economic decision. It was not a political this thing, but it actually boosted India's future. Whatever we are today, we are on the base of the base is 1991. Are you there? Hello. Hello. You there? I think there is some technical issue. Let me just read from that particular chapter which Bhupenji was talking about. The 1991 crisis represents a pivotal moment in India's economic history, the point where decades of state controlled development collided with fiscal reality, forcing a fundamental reorientation. The reforms that emerged from the crucible would transform India from inward looking. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Actually, my power went off, so
Okay.
that's why I got disconnected. But I am connected again.
See, okay, fine. Now it's okay. Tell me.
Yeah. So yes. So I missed part of it, but I think it's okay. Now, when we are talking about 1991, so my question
Mm,
would be, as a curious person, right? So
mhm.
was 1991 change in economic policies liberalization was
Mhm.
a economic consequence, or it correct, if there was a correct, let's example take a example that if there was a one party rule at 1991 example,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
and India was in the same condition and it had 2 weeks of reserves left to purchase
Mhm.
things, okay,
Mhm.
do you think that the like a single party rule, majority rule would have taken the same decisions which was taken by the coalition
Yes, I
government?
think so. I think so. I think so because this decision was not political; it was purely economical. Because there was no other way to come out of this particular problem. And whatever Manmohan Singh ji and Narasimha Rao ji decided upon actually remade India's future. So I think uh, economically, this was an economical decision, and this was the right decision to take. I think.
Yeah. So now let's delve deeper into this crisis itself from a political perspective.
Mm-hmm,
So, because India at that time had a kind of a coalition government in
mm-hmm,
1991, okay, and the way the decision was taken, okay, do you
mm.
think coalition politics in general or democratic principle nature played a part the way the decision was taken, and like if it was something like a majority rule government, would there have been made a significant impact the way it was implemented over the next 20 years?
Linking 1991 resolution, not crisis, to
Hmm. Hmm.
politics, I think would not justify, because it was an economical decision, as far as my concern, my opinion is
Hmm.
taken. Then it is a economical decision, and I think any sane government, whether coalition government or full majority government, would have taken these particular steps only, because there were no other option. You were left with only 15 days of input worth. You are staggering high in inflation. Your fiscal deficit is high, and your oil prices are surging up because of Gulf War. Your age-old friend Soviet Union has crumbled. So everything was negative in whichever way possible. And India decided to open its economy and deposit a big chunk of its gold deposit to IMF for getting out of this thing, loan repayment defaulter. So then, after opening the economy, Indian economy actually boomed. Indian stock market boomed, and FDI started coming in, and India slowly but steadily moved ahead. So this was a very right decision to take, because in today's date, in a closed economy, and if you are not maintaining it in a very good way, uh, sustaining is very difficult in a closed economy in today's date
Yeah.
also. So whatever
Understood.
decision they took that time
Hmm.
was not political at all. I think if there were any full majority government, that government also would have taken these steps only. And while we are talking about economical decisions taken by Mr. Manmohan Singh, I think in India that time there were no better person than Manmohan Singh who were handling economy.
Hmm.
So whatever decision he took was for the betterment of India, and it proved to be so in future also.
Yeah. So let's deep little bit. So whatever I have done research in terms of, well, while reading your book and doing the research for the podcast itself. So
Mhm.
there are various aspects to this economic liberalization where there are articles and there are experts who talk about it, that
Mhm.
the what kind of policies it would be there, that was already were worked out from 1980s onwards, because
Mhm.
India had a very precarious economic story 80s onwards. Okay.
Mhm.
So what kind of policies would be required? What kind of market reforms would be required? That were already worked out in the various circles of the government and institutions, financial institutions. And Manmohan Singh was at the right time, at the right moment to actually implement them.
Mhm.
So, like there are a lot of circles which talk about that. Okay, the background works were done a decade ago by experts on economy, and Manmohan Singh merely implemented them. Okay, so the
Decade
hmm,
ago means which decade, or what is that
80s,
that
80s,
period?
80s, 80s, 80s. In 80s, in 70s, 70s across, there were people who are writing about, okay, we need to make changes. So and it's also quite logical, correct? So you cannot make an economic policy at the top of a hat. So there would have been
Mm.
research done, there would have been papers written, there would be discussions happening on economic policies and reforms, and then you
Mhm.
will implement them at 91.
Mm.
So there would have been background work done
See,
across decades,
everybody has
70s
got
onwards.
backgrounds. That
Hmm.
is what I'm trying to convey since
Hmm.
the beginning of our discussion.
Hmm.
Everything has some background behind it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yes, this had some background, but
Hmm.
implementing it in the right time and for the, you know, for a better future, which proved to be so, which
Hmm.
proved to be so.
Hmm.
There are little, very little instances where bold decision taken by the government proved to be beneficial for India, like 1991 resolution or the 1998 nuclear test. All these bold steps
Mm-hmm.
governments took actually
Mm-hmm.
took India ahead. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that yes, it had some background. It had some background. People were talking about it. People were discussing, debating about it, whether we should open our economy or not. There were debates. There were discussions. There were editorial writings. Everything was going on, but India found the right time during 1991 at the verge of breaking down. India
Bankruptcy.
decided to, yeah, at the verge of bankruptcy, India decided to take those steps, and those steps proved to be beneficial for India.
Yeah, we will finish our discussion with the last question I have. Okay, it's
Mhm.
quite actually, and I am sorry, I'm not able to have the camera because there's a power is not there. Okay, so
Mhm.
I'm running on backup power, so that's why it happened. So the last question to you is, uh, when why I talk about correct economics, your geography and politics. It's called
Mhm.
geoeconomics. Okay,
Mhm.
so my previous question was that a single majority government, okay, operates at a different political compulsions level, where coalition government operates at a different compulsion level in terms of political obligation it has to its coalition partners in general, in politics. uh, Parties would actually operate. So we know that in into 2014 and 2019, the
Mhm.
BJP government had a clear majority, but
Mhm.
it deliberately ran a coalition government.
Mhm.
Deliberately,
Mhm.
they they could have ran a majority government in general without taking
Mhm.
support from anybody,
Mhm.
but they deliberately formed a coalition, okay, and
Mhm.
ran for next 20, 10 years as a coalition government. Okay,
Mhm.
so your point actually, your point, your book's perspective is something which is proven to be quite an impactful, considering that coalition politics is something which is not bad inherently for any country or any political entity in general. Okay, if it is practiced in a way where the two democratic principles are adhered to and they have been practiced and promoted. So my question is that because economic liberalization meant a lot of policies, economic policies which were implemented, and which policies had a lot of beneficiaries in internal markets in India. Example would be license Raj. License Raj was there till 1991, and that
Mhm.
license Raj had a section of influential people, politicians, bureaucrats, businessmen who gathered immense amount of wealth,
Mhm.
immense amount of power from that. Okay. And when a coalition government tries to dismantle that kind of incentive structure, which is
Mhm.
entrenched for over 40 years,
Mhm.
and example would be a coalition government dismantle that license Raj in a slow manner, or
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
may not have done a very drastic job of it. Do you think
Mhm.
if there was a single party government at in
Mhm.
1991, okay,
Mhm.
because of their political power to actually run government on their own, they would have done it differently compared to what was implemented in 1991 because it was a coalition largely.
Regarding license Raj, if you are asking,
Hmm.
there are doubts. Yes, you are right.
Hmm.
Means license Raj was a debated subject, and debated subjects for long,
Hmm.
and yet the government decided not to dismantle it, not to repeal it. Uh, uh, I don't know whether a single party government would have actually repealed license Raj in 1991 or not.
Hmm.
But I think they were left with no other choice, because license Raj was actually restricting India's imports and exports, everything. So, license Raj, one particular main beneficiary of license Raj was Reliance Industries that time. And Reliance Industries alliance with the government in power in center
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
is a normal term, means whichever government is in center, Reliance Industries actually align with them on. And since single party majority before 1980, before 2014 was from Congress only, this license Raj beneficiary, main beneficiary of license Raj, was aligned with Congress party in very, very deep manner. So, yes, there are doubts if that party were in power that time in 1991 with a single majority, with single majority, then what they would have done with license Raj. I think they had to repeal it. Whether they would have done it in one go or in a phased manner, that can be discussed. But I think license Raj had to go if you want to open Indian economy. So it had to go. It had to go because it was restricting India's economy in a very bad way. After license Raj is gone, India's economy actually, there was no competition, no monopoly business was going on because of license Raj. And that is why wealth was actually centered and directed to one particular company for any this thing, for any item, any commodity. Whoever had that license, they had monopoly. So that
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you want to break that monopoly, you had to repeal it. So whether one single majority political party would have repealed it or not, I think they had no other choice. Maybe they would have chosen to repeal it phase wise, but they had to repeal it. They had no
Yeah.
other choice.
Just a little bit of from my information. So correct. So you had a lot of business, uh, family owned businesses. Okay, including the Birlas, Tatas, and other people,
Mhm,
Khurakiwalas,
mhm,
Godrej,
mhm,
Marico. Okay,
mhm.
so not only Reliance, but all these were beneficiaries of license Raj from
Mm,
1950s onwards.
mm,
So to be and people know about the Bombay Club. Okay,
yes.
people who know about little bit of politics, they would know the Bombay Club and
Mm,
how it functioned and other things. It's
mm,
controversial, but in terms of politics and business, Bombay Club is something which people still talk about today. Okay, so it's a Bombay Club. Name is name there. So yeah, so I think we are done for today. Okay, we don't have a lot of questions today. Okay, but we will also ask people to ask questions in our next stream. Okay, where we'll not have the same problems we had today because of power cuts and other issues. But it's really interesting that your book actually talks about a lot of things which are not really talked about in general, correct? So people would general, correct, have an idea that okay, if there is a single party government in general, that is generally good, it is considered good, and political and coalition governments are considered bad. But your book will
yes.
give us shed a different light onto that perspective and discussion. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you see, in your last question, I had to say one thing I forgot to say.
Hmm, hmm,
Mm, uh, Whether it is a single party majority government or a coalition government, they both have some issues while governing the country. The single party majority is worried about the next term,
hmm,
and their decisions are decided based on those electoral results which they are expecting to come back again. And coalition government's main focal point is completing the 5 year term. So while the single party majority does some appeasing things, which generally goes as per the way it is going on, nothing, no changes, no big changes, so that people who chose us this time will choose us next time also. This attitude comes in, and in a coalition government, they are in a very bad state to complete their 5 year term, because someone may choose to withdraw support and their government may fall. So yes, there is also this kind of attitude is there, because they would choose to not to offend any supporting political party and its political narrative. But while keeping this in mind, they will also want to do something good, something which benefits the voters or citizens, so that citizen next time give them more seats. So these two ideas are always there, but both the ideas, I'm not advocating for either of this. I'm not saying ki, the coalition government is good, it should be coalition government always. It's not like that. But I'm just saying coalition governments, if I can give you example of same government in two different occasions. Same government. Vajpayee government, 13-day government, and next Vajpayee government next time. In the 13-day government, Vajpayee ji, when he understood that people who he thought would support him, not support, and he will fail the confidence motion, uh, float test, he chose to resign first. Before failing, he chose to resign. And next time when he came in, what he did and how he managed the coalition is very interesting to see. I'd request the readers and you and the viewers to read those portions where the same person is dealing with coalition in a different way, different approach altogether, and which gave his party a thumping majority in a few decades later. And those decisions, those political alignments actually made BJP's future, BJP's Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government for the second term. So political parties uh, always want to lure the voters, to make voters understand, think that they are the best option, and for that, uh, if they think that offending some section of people will cause them votes, then they will not take those decisions, even if it is required for the nation. It happens in the electoral democracy. That is the negative part of it, but we have to deal with it. We have no other option because we are in electoral democracy.
Yes, so we have a question from a viewer. So he's asking, and so hello, Anindoda, such a great book. He has read your book. Thank you, Konda Politics, for reading the book. Referring to your book, can you please discuss social justice through fragmentation in the United Front government and its impact in the recent Indian politics?
Social justice, United Front government,
VP
its
Singh, correct? VP Singh
impact.
talk about.
Yes, yes. I already discussed about these things.
Hmm.
I We already discussed about VP Singh's
Yeah, maybe we
social
can
justice. This thing.
maybe we can just talk about the impact of the social justice movement VPC government in today's politics, in current politics, or maybe 10 years politics. That part we
See,
I think we
once
covered.
these kind of beneficiary projects are implemented, beneficiary subjects are implemented, they cannot be taken back in an electoral democracy. That is why Indira Gandhi chose not to implement Mandal recommendations, because she thought if this is a controversial subject and upper caste will go against it, and giving 27% to reservation to OBC people, I think 3,700 and some, I think 52 communities are there who were, marked as OBC in Mandal Commission. Those many communities, and which made 52% of India's population. If you are touching that subject, then either you will get a thumping majority, or you will be out of the government in the next phase. That is why people chose not to touch those things. But VP Singh had no other choice, and he had some electoral promises to keep. So that is why he chose to implement all these things. But what impact it had on our nation, and till date, what we are facing for that, you can see that that time Congress was not, Congress super majority power, government chose not to implement Mandal Commission's recommendations. That Congress is today fighting, and every day he is talking about OBC reservations and how many people from OBC are in the government and judiciary and bureaucracy. He is asking every day. So this is the effect, you can say, if it is implemented anyhow. Then the people who chose not to implement this would support it and go against the government. And when this particular party, which is in power today, would sit on opposition, and this particular party, if somebody someday they gain power and sit in the government, prime minister's chair or government handling affairs they get, then they will be blamed for not taking good attention, giving good attention to OBCs. This will go on, but the effect Bhupenji just showed, effect is very destructive for Indian societies. People, in the name of reservation, are getting
PhD
unethical
scholarship. Hmm.
unethical entries in places where it should be only on the basis of merit. I am very much in support of all this reservation. If you are talking about people from lower income groups, people who cannot, you know, cannot send their children to school because they do not have enough money. Those people should be given reservations, but that should not be in today's date, I think, on the basis of castes. We think we should somehow
EWS
or some.
EWS should be the primary
Yes,
category. EWS.
EWS should be the only one and only reservation, and that EWS should not be based on caste. That should not be based on like it is for the upper caste people only, or it should be for everyone who is under that particular income level. It should be for everyone. And primary education, I think there is no need of reservation, because primary education, it is government's responsibility, I think. Primary education, by primary education, I'm not talking about class 5 or class 6, up to class 5 or class 6. I'm talking about up to 10. When you are moving to secondary, before that, up to 10th class, I think government should take responsibility for each and every child in this country. So reservation would not be required. Education policies, only making education policies is not sufficient. Implementing it and actually meaning it means, we have an education policy, but we are seeing now in many states, government schools are being shut down. That is a very big thing we are facing. So if the government is focused on primary things, so I mentioned this thing in one article of mine in some website, and I compared Indian economic education policy with China's education policy. While these two nations were, at par somewhere in 1950s, China surged ahead, and in every subject, China is ahead of many countries in the world today because their education policy were different. Our education policy, we took a different approach. Nehruji did good things. Nehruji did great jobs. He made IITs and IIMs, but he didn't give any of his focus to primary education. It was running as the British left um, in whatever shape British left it. It was running like that only. So primary giving not giving importance to primary education is a big mistake, I think, on the governments of that time. Uh, Even today, governments are not focusing on these primary things because until and unless you are educating your children, you cannot come out of these political issues like reservation on the basis of castes. So if you want to come out of this, we should have a discussion later on. What should be done? How can we come out? We can discuss. We can make efforts because I'm involved into political activities. Also, we are discussing all these things. We are trying to put forward our point of view regarding all these controversial issues which are damaging India's growth. Um, so this is a very big thing you are asking, the impact in our society. Impact is very bad, and we need to rectify. And I think we should start working on it. My why I wrote this book to the question number two of Bhupen. Why I
Mm-hmm.
wrote this book. This is also a point because I think if you want to make any change, if you want to criticize someone, if you want to something take ahead something good, something has been already made, you want to take these things ahead, you have to know what is it, no? So that is why if we really think that there are subjects which should be worked at and which should be actually rectified, uh, that will be beneficial for India's future course, we should know India's history also. And that history is not Aurangzeb's history and or Akbar's history. That is okay, fine, important, but uh, I think contemporary history is more important. I think contemporary history is more important, and that is why this book. And I'm writing next book on the on 2000 on the period between 2014 to 2024. We will discuss what changes Modi ji made on the development these fragmented governments gave us, and where we stand today. I think that book will take another year or so. It will come. I'm in the in the writing phase right now, and we'll discuss.
Mm-hmm. We have one more question from the quantum politics viewer. In a hugely diverse country, I'll read it out for you. In a
Mm,
hugely diverse country like India, during the coalition period, it is monotheistic ideologies that thrive, and inclusive ideologies like polytheism get destroyed. How and what's the way out? I think he's talking about the surge in conversion activities in UPA 1 and 2 specifically. He's talking about where a lot of things were, example would be RTE, right to education rule, where the minority institutions were exempt from 25% reservation given to EWS people, and that destroyed a lot of schools which were nature generally in they were democratic and secular nature in secular nature secular.
I
So
agree. I agree to it.
yeah.
I
So
agree to it. But
what do you think? What is the way out? He asking how it got like why democracy is like this, where the polytheistic or polytheistic ideologies suffer and get maybe in a very danger zone, and where monotheistic become flourish in that kind of situation.
I agree to this that I mean these periods, these things actually increased.
Hmm.
But I would put another question in
Hmm.
reply to this question.
Hmm. Hmm.
In a super majority government like 2014 to 2024,
Hmm.
are these things rectified? Are these things rectified? No, these things are there only in even in a super majority government. So what is required?
Hmm.
It is not a question of whether the government is coalition or super majority. It is a question of political literacy. I'm again giving emphasis to it. People should be politically literate. People should actually know why and how. Why happened, how it happened, what it led to. These things actually people should know. Then only people can decide which party to vote for and which what demand should be placed before these parties. And if not, if those demands are not made, then what should be done? Then these things will come only if you are politically literate. If you are politically literate only through WhatsApp forwards, then we are actually going towards a very big catastrophe in near future. This is the problem. The subject is not whether the government is coalition or super majority. Even a super majority government did not rectify this or could not rectify this or didn't think that this thing should be rectified. So it is not a question of coalition of or majority. It is a question of political willing. Political will should be there. A political will only come when voters demand for this. We today we discuss these subjects in discussions like this, but why when the time comes to vote some party, we go and just vote for them. We do not place forward our demands. We do not say that if these things are not met, then we will not vote for you, we will not even cast our vote or will boycott our votes. These things should be done. There are many things, right, like right to recall and everything. All these things are being talked about and only talked about. No firm actions are being taken. We as voters, we as responsible citizen of this country should actually take these matters up. And if there are no political party which is taking up our issues, then we should find alternatives. We should create alternatives if it is required. So,
Absolutely. Before we sign off, I just wanted to, because we had discussed the coalition era politics, and I just want to share one thing to the audience as well, to you, Anindya.
mhm.
This famous, I think all people would be knowing this famous speech. So I just
Yes, I
want to
mentioned
play.
this speech. I mentioned
Yeah,
this speech in my book.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to finish this podcast by playing this speech to everybody and
देश आज
listening.
संकटों से घिरा है और ये संकट हमने पैदा नहीं किए। जब जब कभी आवश्यकता पड़ी, संकटों के निराकरण में हमने उस समय की सरकार की मदद की है। उस समय के प्रधानमंत्री नरसिंह राव जी ने भारत का पक्ष रखने के लिए मुझे विरोधी दल के नेता के नाते जेनेवा भेजा था और पाकिस्तानी उसे देखकर चमत्कृत रह गए। उन्होंने कहा कि ये कहां से आए, क्योंकि उनके यहां विरोधी दल का नेता ऐसे राष्ट्रीय कार्य में भी सहयोग देने के लिए तैयार नहीं होता वो हर जगह अपने सरकार को गिराने के काम में लगा रहता है। ये हमारी परंपरा नहीं है, ये हमारी प्रकृति नहीं है। और मैं चाहता हूं ये परंपरा बनी रहे, ये प्रकृति बनी रहे। सत्ता का खेल तो चलेगा, सरकारें आएंगी जाएंगी, पार्टियां बनेगी बिगड़ेंगी, मगर ये देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र अमर रहना चाहिए।
Yes,
So
I mentioned
this was the
about this speech in my book.
Yeah, I wanted to actually play this speech because this is a like apt time to play this speech, and also it corresponds to your book regarding democracy in general. Whether it has some good and bad things aspect to it, which we can always debate and discuss. But in general, the perception, the conception that the democracy is under threat in a coalition era, and democracy is flourishing under one party or a one party majority rule, that conception needs to go, and we need to have a very nuanced view of politics itself over the decades which as India has grown. So I think your book will shed a bit more light, bit more context, bit more uh, say a discussion, an elaboration on the politics, or whether it is a single party rule, majority rule, or a coalition rule. So we will continue to discuss this. And once again, let me share again the link to the Anindya's book where you can buy the book. And I will also recommend one more book as well to people who are interested in politics in general. So this is Anindya's book, The Fractured Throne. It is published by Asitra Prakashan. It's also available in Amazon. I'll put both the links in the pinned comments so that you can go and buy the book. It's a very interesting book. It gives a different perspective in terms of coalition era politics. It is in general how it functioned, and how specifically he mentions the groundbreaking, earth-shattering policy decisions, politically sensitive, bold decisions which were taken specifically in 1991 and also 1998, the Pokhran explosions, which actually catapulted India into a nuclear power. So these all were result of a coalition era politics. So we need to revisit our perspective on governments, coalition, as well as a single party rule in general, and get a more nuanced view of things. And also to the audience, also to Anjoda, to give a very a kind of different perspective on this. So there is one more book which is there. It is written by Dr. Somode. Somode is a professor of history in Rishi University. He wrote a book called Being Hindu, a political history from Aditya Chola to Narendra Modi, which gives a kind of a historical perspective of statecraft itself, statecraft. So I will request people to read different kind of books so that you can get a very different perspective on similar kind of topics. So here
Yes.
I'll
I just want to add one thing for the viewers and for interested people who want to buy my book. I would request you to put links for of this thing Flipkart also, because there the rate is a bit low than Amazon.
I will do.
If you search it,
I will do. I will actually in the pinned comments as well as in the description. I will add the publisher, Amazon, Flipkart, all the links. I'll put it there. Okay. And anyway, we will be back tomorrow as well for our another podcast. So we will discuss your book as well in that section as well. So last word to you, Anindya, before we sign off.
Before we sign off, if it is regarding the book talks about the facts and events which happened during 1989 to 2014, and which impacted Indian reshaping of India. It does not talk about any communal issue. It does not talk about take side for any political party, whether it is government or in opposition. It just simply puts forward the facts, what happened, and the general public's perspective towards it. Whatever was that time experienced by people, which were shared with me, my personal experiences, And this book continues with naval metaphors, because the starting of the book, if you start the book, start reading the book, then only you will find that I mentioned that thing in 1996. I actually started my journey in the Indian Navy. And in 1996 it was Navy. I was on board a ship for the first time. It was all, the world was tilting under my boots that time, beneath my boots. And that time, Indian political situation was also like that. It was always, rolling and pitching. There is a term in Navy. It is called rolling and pitching. When ships move like this, it is rolling, and when ships move like this, it is pitching. So this rolling pitching was going on in Indian politics also. So I found it very, interesting to even put forward while writing. I was enjoying writing it, because it was uh, resembling with my own life in the Navy. And I left Navy in 2011, and then I joined BJP after that. uh, and it talks about that thing also. And I was a very happy person to see Narendra Modi swearing in. I mentioned that thing in my book in the last chapters. And in the last, I gave you a balance sheet. Why I'm saying so? Why I'm saying that it remade India? It is in the last chapter. So I gave a balance sheet of in this particular era and all the political events which happened in this time. So I would request people to read it, and read it without any bias, without any political biasness. Because if you are reading anything with political biasness, once I end with teaching of one of my teachers. When I so My teacher once told me, whenever you come to me for for any lesson, come with an empty cup. I didn't understand actually that time. So he showed me one picture. And there one Guruji was there in the picture, and one disciple was there. And Guruji asked that disciple to pour tea in a already filled up cup, and the disciple was filling it, and whatever he was pouring, it was all spilled up because the cup is already full. So he showed me that picture and told me that if your cup is already full, whatever I'll pour, that thing will be spilled up basically. So if you want to get something from this book, read it without any bias. Read it as a politically interested person, and you will learn many things. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, actually, I have read partially which was given to me. My book is in transit, so it will arrive in 1 or 2 days. I think until next week, I'll have the physical book with me till I am reading. So it's a very well written book, very accessible. Not a lot of heavy words are used. It's bit poetic in general, and also Anindya gives his own perspective, his own life. A life journey from school days to Navy to other, that also is documented there. So you will not only find the politics which is written in this book, you'll also find the political consciousness of Anindya and his family growing with the book itself. So it's a very interesting take which I see in the book itself. So it is also
Yes.
interesting in nature. Okay. Rather than reading a drab political book, you also see some personal anecdotes also mentioned there in the book. So it's an entertaining book. So I'll request people to go ahead and buy the book, read the book. It's not very technical book, not very boring book, but an mix of data, facts, perspectives, and personal anecdotes. That's how I would describe it in general. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you tomorrow again. We'll have Anindya back with one more program, and also we'll have Anindya back on a weekly basis where we will discuss specific chapters and topics discussed in the book, and also we'll take his perspective as a political as well as otherwise. So thank you everyone. Namaste,
Thank you.
Manjuda.
Namaste.
Yeah,
Namaste.
Jai Shri Ram,
Thank you.
Vande Mataram.
Jai Sri Ram. Jai Sri Ram. Vande Mataram.